Welcome to Reformed Thinking. Today, we get to jump into one of David's absolute masterpieces of victory and trust, Psalm 9. And we're going to have a fantastic guide with us, the great Puritan scholar Matthew Poole, whose insights really bring this text to life. So let's get right into it. So right out of the gate, David just lays it all on the table. This isn't just a quiet little song, This is a massive, all-in declaration. He's committing his entire being to praising God and telling everyone about his incredible works. Honestly, this one verse is like the heartbeat of the whole psalm. Everything else flows from here. And that really gets us to our first big idea. For David, praise isn't just a warm-up act or something you tack on at the end. No, it's the very foundation. It's the lens through which he sees everything else, God's justice, his judgment, his role as a refuge. It all starts with worship. Now, what does that phrase, "with my whole heart," actually mean? Well, this is where Matthew Poole gives us some amazing insight. He says it's not just about being loud or emotional. For Poole, it's a three-part thing. It means a sincere heart with no hypocrisy, an affectionate heart, one that genuinely loves God, and a united heart, one that's not torn between God and the worries of the world. It's a praise that pulls in your entire person, mind, will, and emotions. Okay, so from that place of wholehearted praise, you can feel David's perspective just zoom out. He moves from this really personal, intimate worship to this grand, awesome vision of God as the righteous judge of the whole world, sitting on his throne. It's a shift from intimacy to absolute awe. And here's the crucial point that Poole really highlights. David takes zero credit for his own victories. He looks at every single win against his enemies and says, "That wasn't my strategy, that wasn't my strength." He sees it as a direct verdict handed down from God's heavenly throne. God judged in his favor, and the victory on the battlefield was just that judgment being carried out. And this slide just perfectly captures the insane contrast David is painting. Poole says to read verse 6 as David almost mocking his enemies. It's like he's taunting them, saying, "Oh, you thought your destructive plans were going to last forever, did you?" He laughs at their fleeting arrogance, and then, bam, he pivots in verse 7 to the unshakable, undeniable truth, "But the Lord shall endure forever." Their plans are a puff of smoke. God's reign is eternal. You see this theme all over Scripture, this kind of divine irony. How does God reveal his character to the world? Well, one of the main ways is through his judgments. And what's the peak of that justice? It's when the wicked become the architects of their own destruction. They get caught in the very trap they designed for somebody else. It's a perfect, almost poetic form of justice. Poole's commentary here helps us see this happen in slow motion. It's a simple three-step process. First, the wicked cook up some evil plot in secret. Second, they set their little trap, totally confident that they're the smartest people in the room. And then, step 3, in a stunning reversal, it's their own foot that gets caught in the net. The very thing they made to ruin someone else ends up ruining them. It's just a powerful picture of God's complete sovereignty over even the most wicked plans. And now, the psalm takes this beautiful, comforting turn. The very same God who is a terrifying judge to the proud and the wicked becomes a safe harbor, a refuge for his own people. That throne of judgment, for the oppressed who run to him, it's also a throne of grace. The whole feel of the Psalms shifts from the battlefield right into the sanctuary. And this is such an important point that Poole really wants us to get. God's help isn't some abstract thing way off in the future that we just have to hope for. No, David is clear, and Poole emphasizes it. God is a present help, a high tower you can run to right now, in the middle of your trouble. For the believer, God's character is a source of immediate, tangible security. So who are the people who actually trust in this refuge? David says it's they that know thy name. Poole jumps in and clarifies that this has nothing to do with just knowing how to spell God's name. It's about a deep, relational, experiential knowledge of who God is, his attributes, his promises, his character. To know his name is to know his very nature, and it's that knowledge that becomes the rock-solid foundation for our trust. And David, you can tell he's speaking from his own life here, gives these incredible promises to those who seek God. First, he has not forsaken them. That's a promise built on a perfect, unbroken track record. Next, he remembers the cry of the humble. No prayer, no tear ever goes unnoticed. And finally, he makes inquisition for the blood of the innocent. He will bring justice. No evil deed ever slips past the righteous judge. So how does David wrap this whole thing up? He ends with this incredibly powerful, perspective-shifting prayer. After celebrating God's power and his protection, he asks God to remind all of humanity of its proper place. It's basically a prayer for a reality check, for universal humility. Now, at first glance, that phrase, put them in fear, might sound a little harsh, right? But it's not about revenge. As Poole explains, it's a prayer for proud, self-sufficient nations to get a much-needed, sobering dose of reality. It's a prayer that they would stop acting like they are gods and remember that they are created beings. And here is Poole's brilliant insight into the heart of David's prayer. The goal of this fear is simply recognition. It's for powerful people, for nations who get so puffed up with their own importance that they forget their own frailty, to remember that they are but men. The Hebrew word there, enash, carries this idea of being weak, frail, mortal. The prayer is that they would finally see themselves rightly in the light of the eternal, all-powerful God. And so that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. When we truly get it, when we grasp deep down that we, like those nations, are but men, frail, finite, completely dependent, how does that change what we're afraid of? How does it recalibrate our anxieties, turning our fear of powerful people or scary headlines into a singular, reverent fear and worship of the only one who actually deserves it? That's a profound truth from this psalm to take with us.